Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat, in which we would look at cash dividends and dividend policy. Generally, this topic is covered on the CMA exam and in your typical corporate or investment course. In this session, we would look at how shareholders earn a return from owning stocks, describe the purpose of cash dividend and retained earnings, identify key factors influencing the decision to pay dividend, explain financial signaling and dividend stability concept. Then we will move into computing the residual dividend policy and explaining what it is, calculate dividend under the residual dividend policy, and at the end we explain why some companies choose not to pay dividend. So the first thing we need to understand is what is dividend and how shareholders benefit from dividend. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com.
My AI turns any lecture into a complete study system. You can create summary table, formulas, and example from each lecture. Flashcard builds from the lesson itself. A quiz build on the lesson, and as a bonus, convert any lecture into a portable short audio on the go, so it helps you with the retention. No noise, no generic responses, just clarity based on that specific lecture. Don't just watch, interact, test yourself, and retain the material using Farhat AI. Now go to farhatlectures.com now and see how the AI can help you understand, practice, and retain the material.
Now, when you buy a stock, when you invest in a company, you rely on two things. You rely on dividend income. And what is dividend income? Well, it's the cash distribution to you as a shareholder to do what? To reward you. To reward you from what? To reward you from profit. So when the company pays dividend, first they generate revenue, they incur expenses, then they have a profit or net income. From this net income, they might pay a portion of it of dividend. So dividend provide a regular, predictable return, especially valued by income-oriented investors. So people who wants to receive income, like retirees, they invest in dividend-paying stock. So that's one way how shareholders earn a return. So for example, you own a stock and you paid $100 for it. It might pay you $4 per year dividend. So your return from dividend is 4%. The other reason you invest is capital appreciation. What is capital appreciation? The stock price going up to 120. So increase in market value over time. It occurs when retained earnings are reinvested in profitable project that raise the company's future earnings and value. And now we have a tug of war about what should the company do about the profit, how much to pay out and how much to keep, because the more you keep and if you invest what you kept in profitable project, the stock price will go up. As a result, the shareholders will benefit. So the question is always, should the company keep the profit so they can reinvest, or should they distribute? It all depends on many factors, the industry, the life of the company, the economic situation, so on and so forth. But this is what we need to know. So management must balance paying dividend now versus retaining for future growth. Both paths aim to maximize shareholder wealth, because the objective of the company is to maximize the owner's wealth, the shareholder's wealth. So what is cash dividend? Well, as we said, paying directly to the shareholder cash, provide immediate return on investment. Now, the negative about cash dividend, it's taxable. Capital appreciation is not. Paying dividend is part of the cost of equity. Just you have to reward the shareholders. How about retained earning? Retained earning is kept to purchase property, plant, equipment. That's one usage of it. This is why companies use some of that profit that they keep. Develop new product or services. Expand domestically or globally. Finance working needs. Reduce existing debt. Acquire another business. There's endless use for the money that you keep. But one of them, if all those are satisfied, maybe you want to reward the shareholder through cash dividend. So shareholders who forego dividend today expect the retained earning to drive the profit up. So that's a trade-off. So if you're not going to pay me dividend, you better invest this money in a profitable project where you increase the stock price. Now, the dividend policy. Dividend policies signal future expectation. What do we mean by that? It means when the company pays out dividend, and when they project paying out dividend, when the dividend increase, that's a positive sign. Because think about it, who decides to pay dividend? The board of directors. How would the board of directors come up with that conclusion? From company's economic health. If management tells them we're doing good, we have growth, we are growing, we are generating profit, and the future looks good, the board of directors will be more than willing to pay dividend. So it signals higher expected future earning, stronger projected cash flow, and management confidence in sustainability. Because if management don't feel confident, guess what they do? They tell the board, we don't advise you to pay out cash because we might be going through a rough patch. So that's why it's a positive signal. Also, dividend decrease signals the opposite. Weakening or uncertainty in earnings, cash flow pressure or shortfall, need to conserve resources for one reason or another. I can give you two real companies that I remember when they cut dividend, what happened to their stock. One company is GE, General Electric, during the financial crisis. I don't believe whether they cut it down to zero or they reduce it. Regardless, the stock of GE dropped substantially. And the other company that I believe they suspended their dividend for 2 consecutive quarters, and that's BP, British Petroleum, when they had the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. Again, what happened at the stock price? It dropped. Because when you buy a stock and that stock pays dividend, you expect that company to keep on paying dividend permanently, continuously. So managers rarely raise dividend after one unusually profitable year. Once raised, shareholders expect the higher level to continue. And that's why dividend is raised very slowly versus earnings. Earning could go up and down. You cannot do the same thing with dividend. When the company pays dividend, they try to keep it at almost a flat straight line, because shareholders prefer predictable payment and the company want to plan their cash flow as well. 2, dividends are generally more stable than earnings. Earnings are volatile because what goes into earnings? Many things, accounting estimates, uncertainties. Dividend, you have the earnings, now you can kind of determine how much cash you want to pay out. Companies may maintain dividend through temporary dips, that's fine, but you have to have the reserve for that. And some companies, they do reduce their dividend through when they go through a profit dips. But as I said, the stock price will drop because usually once a company pays out dividend, it's very hard to reduce it or stop it. They can always, it's not illegal. The company can always stop paying dividend. But when you buy a stock, remember when we talked about stocks, you calculate the stock based on the future cash flow. So if you suspend the future cash flow, the stock will drop. That's why you don't want the stock to drop. If you don't want the stock to drop, you keep paying dividend. And management raise dividend only when future earning can sustain the increase. And they're very careful. That's why they increase the dividend very, very slowly, because they want to make sure they can continue that increase. 10 factors that drive dividend decision. The first one is the quality and the consistency of your earning. Now, the more predictable your earning, the higher, the stable your earning, the more likely you are to pay dividend. And volatile earners might retain more to weather downturn, because when you're volatile, you might be afraid you might run out of cash during a bad year or a bad quarter. So that's why what you do is, if you have a stable earnings, most likely you pay dividend. So for example, Walmart will have a stable earning because people continuously buy from Walmart. It's a supermarket. Versus a technology company where earnings goes up and down, they have to be more careful. It doesn't mean they don't, but the more earning stability you have, the more likely to pay dividend. Obviously, financial policy. What's your plan? Do you need the money for internal financing? Or would you be interested in paying the dividend and borrowing money to operate. Some companies, what they do, they even borrow money to pay higher dividend. That's perfectly fine, as long as they have enough earnings to cover their debt payment. And it all depends also on the interest rate. When interest rate is very low, that's how they reward the shareholders. Liquidity and cash consideration. Dividend require actual cash. So dividend is 99% of the time cash, not income. So you have to be cash rich. A profitable but a cash poor firm cannot pay dividend because they don't have the cash. They don't have the money in the bank to write the check. Investment opportunities is a great one. Abundant high return project means keep the money, create more value, then distribute it to shareholders. If the company can find profitable projects, guess what they do? They will keep that project running, and they will finance it internally, and they will not pay dividend. 5, debt service obligation. If you have heavy interest and principal payment, you have to need the cash, therefore you consume less. Most of the time when you have a lot of that, the bank might even impose restriction on you not to pay dividend. Hold on a second. Didn't you just told me that some companies borrow money to pay dividend? That's also true at the same time. When interest rate was very low, many companies were borrowing money to pay dividend. A case in point, specifically Apple computers. And why did Apple did this? Because they did not want to bring their cash that's sitting in Europe to the US, because they would have been taxed on that back then. So what they did to reward the shareholders, they borrowed money. At that point, interest rate was very low. Apple with an excellent credit, they borrowed the money at a low rate, paid the dividend, kept their money in Europe until later on when Trump became the president. They changed the law. They were able to bring some of it to the US. But that's basically why some of the factors that drives the dividend policy. Number 6 is ability to borrow. Again, it's related to that covenant. Firm with strong credit access can borrow if needed, allowing for higher dividend, I just said. Constrained firm, they keep the cash because they need the cash to operate. So the more cash you have, the more flexibility you have. Historical dividend rate, investor expect consistency. Cutting an established dividend damages confidence and may depress the share price. And I talked about this and I gave you 2 actual real prices. Cash needs for growth. Rapidly growing companies, pharmaceutical, IT, startup, they need this money. So they're not going to pay out dividend. Why? Because they need it to operate, to grow. Another reason is corporate income taxes, and that's a big factor. Higher corporate taxes reduce after-tax profit, shrinking the pool of funds available for distribution. And also some companies, what they do, they would rather not pay dividend, reinvest the money, get a higher rate of return for the company, and reward the shareholders through capital appreciation. And the shareholder tax preferences, some investors prefer capital gain, which is only taxed when you sell it. Retirees may prefer regular income because they need to live off that. So policy should reflect shareholder base, depending what your shareholders are. So these factors together determine whether paying dividend or retaining better serve the shareholder wealth at any given point and determine the company policy. So this is an introduction to basically dividend and dividend policy. At this point, what I'm going to do is cut this recording and start the next recording, because I don't want to have a long recording. I want to explain the residual dividend policy separately because it involves computation. So what should you do? Go to Farhat lectures, look at multiple choice, true, false, simulation cases to help you whether you're a CPA, CMA candidate. And the next session will focus on residual dividend policy.